By the end of this video, you'll have a sneak peek into Bubble's no-code mobile app builder. So you can start to get a glimpse of how you'll soon be able to build a native mobile app right out of Bubble. I'm going to show you what Bubble has released in its beta access and give you an inside look into how Bubble will allow users to create mobile-friendly designs, add native mobile features like gestures and navigation, and preview your app in real time before submitting it to the Apple App Store and Google Play. If you're new to Bubble, it's an awesome platform that allows you to build apps faster and easier than ever before. And now, Bubble's no-code platform gives you all the tools you need to launch native mobile apps without writing a single line of code. Let's jump right in by taking a look at the beta for Bubble's no-code mobile app builder. In this video, I'm going to be walking through the mobile app builder that Bubble.io has just released as beta. I want to make sure to communicate that this is just the beta version. This video might not have up-to-date information for very much longer, but this is just a quick overview for anyone that'd like to see the mobile app builder that Bubble.io has released in the beta version and sent out invitations to a handful of users to test it and provide feedback of the experience. Now, in this video, I'm not going to spend much time explaining or talking about native mobile apps and how they differ from web applications. I can leave that up to you to navigate to the Bubble manuals and the Bubble docs to learn more yourself. Essentially here we just have a bit of a quick start preview and guide, and then we talk about what is a native and mobile app, talking about the different approaches and how it's been handled in the past. However, in this video, I'm going to talk mostly about the development of our applications in the native mobile builder and how it differs to the web version of building apps, the differences in the elements and how we're going to approach certain scenarios when we're building our Bubble applications, as well as some just briefly touching on some of the terminology and some of the differences the usual Bubble Bubble users are used to. So what I want to do, I do have my Headphone Zone application here, which I am going to demo in the mobile app experience. Now, if you've seen some of my videos before, I use this application as a bit of a it's a bit of an Amazon clone, an e-commerce store marketplace where you can buy and sell headphones. Not quite important. I'm not going to explain how I've gotten to this stage. All I'm going to essentially show is the mobile builder experience and what it looks like converting an existing app over to the mobile experience. Now, as I've mentioned, I've been given access to the beta, which is really exciting. To see the details of the beta, I can head across to the settings, and over on the very right-hand side, we see this mobile tab here. Now, to create my mobile application, all I have to do is click a button, and it has generated this screen and my pages, which I'll touch on shortly. Here we can give our application a name and just manage some of the general settings, as well as some of the device specific settings as well. So Apple settings and Android settings. I can imagine this would come into effect when it's time to go live with your application. You've got to obviously type in all of the keys and make sure that the stores are connected and the like, but this is how you manage the settings of your mobile application. I just wanted to touch on that first before we go any further, because the key part of what I'm trying to mention here is that the mobile builder experience is essentially present in the normal app builder experience. It's still the same app plan, still the general settings in the domain and the same database for our web application. So as you can see here, we do have all the same data types as well as the data here in the same database. All this is going to render in the mobile version, which is really cool. So if you have an existing app, transferring that over to a mobile application is super simple, which is really cool. The only additional thing that we can see right away for our data types and for our database is these additional data types that have been added automatically. So I didn't add in notifications or device. This was actually generated when I created my mobile application. Now, I haven't got to the point where I can talk much about these or see or explain the role that they play, the device and the notifications. I can't talk about that too much because I haven't come across this just yet, but I just wanted to mention that there are some changes that are slightly made to your database when you create the mobile version. However, majority of it stays the same, which is really cool. Same goes for the styles and the plugins. A handful of plugins work. Some don't in the mobile builder, but I'm sure as the builder evolves, that will improve as well. So same with workflows, backend workflows and workflows are split, as has been the case with the new Bubble editor, but all the workflows are essentially the same, and the same experience of building workflows is what people will come across when they tackle the mobile builder. So really cool stuff there. Let's get to the builder. So here we are in the design tab. I want to show at the moment for our web application, we do have these set of pages here. We have our pages and our web reusable elements. Now, if you have an existing application, these will stay the same. However, when you create a Bubble mobile application, we see two new things be created. The first are these views, and we're going to touch on what views are shortly, and these reusable elements. Now, these are automatically added. I'm sure they're to do with iOS or Android and their standard terms or their standard sort of elements for how they want people to experience applications on their devices. But it's just worth noting that these are automatically also added to your application. Now, let's get started on mobile views. I'm going to just click onto home and we'll take a look at what we're seeing here. So the first thing you'll notice first and foremost is that we do have an editor experience very similar to what we're used to. However, we can see here this canvas that is a portrait mode. Usually, back in the web version, you can affect the size of the UI builder so it can be responsive. You can do the same thing in the mobile version. However, it's a bit more restricted, which makes sense because your application is only going to be seen on a handful of devices. The normal builder is of these sizes, which must be iPhone 14 and iPhone 15 Pro, which is 393 pixels wide. However, you can change this to a tablet or maybe a mobile landscape view. It looks like this one is, or these different sort of sizes, tablet landscapes and tablets as well. But the cool thing that we can see right away is that we are building applications specific to this mobile view. We're not doing desktop first application building. We are building right out of the iPhone experience, which is pretty cool because we can see, this looks like an iPhone. You can see the time and the cell reception and the Wi-Fi and the battery icons there. So we know that that's a bit of a safe area. Now, talking about safe area, let me show how that actually looks. So here we have our editor. If I click this, we see these two red boxes at the top and the bottom, which is the safe area for our applications. Now, this is again a suggestion by Bubble, which is really cool. We can hide this if we please, but this is just to say that this is a recommended place to not put any important information for your application. This is, where the little island is if you're using an iPhone, or where the swipe up action item is on the bottom of a lot of devices. So it's just best to avoid these when building out your application. So it is good that we can see this right away. Now let's take a look at this property editor on the right and see what we see when we are in this home page. Actually, before I do that, let me explain views. This is probably the main difference between the web and the mobile app builder, and it is that we are working with views. Now, again, I won't go into too much detail about views because that is explained in the Bubble documentation. And what I can say is that essentially the experience of creating an application on a website is you can work with multiple pages. If I am on, let's say for example, we go to this clone here. If I click through to a product, I'm happy for the web browser to load this product page. I'm happy for it to take a little bit of time to gather the information, load it up, not putting too much strain on the browser, and it can show that information. It's pretty normal to see this in new URLs and new data that's being loaded all the time when you navigate between elements. That's normal. However, if you've used an application on your mobile before, I'm sure you know that it is super fast. It's instantaneous. When you click a button, something loads. There's no jumping between screens or a browser loading. It is all done on device. So views, you can think of it as everything being loaded to your device when you download the application, and everything loading each time it runs. However, you will be instead just clicking between these views, not loading them instantaneously. They're loaded, they're preloaded when you load up the app. And when you navigate between the application, you're just showing things. So essentially you're just showing these views. So that's an important distinction to keep in mind, that we're working with views, not with pages. Now, with these views, there are different navigation types, which we might touch on shortly. But what I wanted to do first and foremost, let's take a look now at the property editor and see what we can see right away. So right now on our home screen, where we don't have much developed at the moment, we can just see that we have a title. Title for the view is home. That's mainly just for us, I'd say. We can see that this is, the home page. This is the navigation that we're starting from. Whenever we load up our application, this is what we'll see first and foremost. So we can give it a title of home. If we do want to add that into our navigation, we can do that as well. So that's what the title is. Makes sense. When we create new views, we'll give them relevant titles. The view type. Now, as you can see here, we're given a few options. We can see a view that is scrollable, which means we are collating elements on our page as high as we want, as large as we want. We're allowing our users to be able to scroll through the elements in that experience. Not too dissimilar from a lot of applications out there at the moment. Not scrollable essentially means that your page or your view is locked. This may be good for, let's say, a login screen or something where you're just seeing one element and it is focused on the middle of the screen. We don't want people to be able to swipe up and down and make changes to that. That's scrollable. Now, a vertical list, you can think about, I like to think about it best, the contacts in your mobile. That is just from top to bottom, essentially a repeating group. It's a repeating group of all your items as a list, one after the other. The cool thing is that, of course, you can group elements within that list. Think of it as a repeating group where you can have, let's say, a picture and some words or some copy or something with some buttons. You can create that in your vertical list. So I do think that is a good view and a good type of view that we'll use pretty often. Now, I've got to admit, a section list, I'm not quite sure what exactly that is. So maybe throughout this tutorial I'll come across it, but I'm not exactly sure what a section list is, but we'll get there. Now, with these checkboxes here, these are more so for the views. So show the top app bar. If you wanted to create a title for your application, if you wanted to say that you did want to put in, let's say, a page title, you could do this here. I don't think it's quite important, so let's get rid of it for now. This can be where you can still customize this. You can put some styling on it if you like. I'm not going to show it. Here we can see our safe areas that we saw. The status bar is just those icons that we saw at the top. And the tab bar is down the bottom. Now, at the moment, the tab we can think of as that navigation. Let's say, for example, you're on the Facebook app, a tab and the navigation between your Facebook application is, you might have the home page and then your messages and then the marketplace and then the settings and events or something like that. So here we can say that we want our home page to be a tab item, our home view rather. So when we click that, we have home as added as a tab item down the bottom. Now, as you can see, because we selected it as a tab item, it is automatically selected to show the tab bar. However, when we create more views, we can turn that on and off. We can decide to show the navigation, or we can decide to switch between applications via this bottom tab bar, the views via the bottom tab bar rather, or we can show to hide, or we can decide to hide it. Think of it like Spotify. On Spotify, you navigate to another page and then that bottom bar is removed. You actually navigate back using the breadcrumb on the top of the page, which we'll get to shortly. That's another navigation style. Properties we're going to touch on shortly as well. And then the rest of this editor is pretty similar to the experience that a lot of bubblers are used to. We've got the background style that, of course, you can change, the transitions and the SEO and HTML information down here, which is pretty normal, pretty standard stuff, and a lot of people are used to. Same goes for the layout tab. Now, of course, layouts are pretty important. I personally like to use column and row layouts rather than the fixed layout because of that responsive design. Is that necessary on mobile applications because you're not changing the width of the page? That's up for debate, but you can still use the column container layout if you please. When you start to add groups, you can, of course, then change the height and width of that group. You can add the margin and padding as you always do. If you do have groups, you can then, of course, set the alignment within this layout page. All similar stuff that we're used to when we're using the normal desktop or the normal app builder. Same goes for conditions. All stuff that's pretty useful and pretty common amongst the Bubble experience. So that's the property editor for a page. when we go in to add some elements to our page, we might come across some other different changes, but for now, just want to explain that these are some of the things that we see in the property editor for our homepage. So what I'm now going to do, let's start creating more pages, more views rather. I got to get out of that habit. I'm saying pages a lot where they're now called views. So let's go ahead and let's create a new view. If I want to, let's say I want to recreate my experience of my Headphone Zone application. Let's go ahead and let's create a view where I can manage the settings for my app. So let's go ahead and let's add a new mobile view. Now this does look a bit different as well, which is different to the usual web application builder. Here we can see we are going to set some parameters for our new view. So let's give our view a name. It's going to be settings, which is fine. We can choose to clone it from an existing view, which of course might be useful, might not. So we're just going to leave it as blank for now. And then we can choose that view type. Now the cool part is of course that we can make changes to this if we please. We can start it with a scrollable view, and then when we create our, when we say maybe a vertical list, maybe a better option, we can make that change as you can see in the property editor. So let's get started simply with our scrollable view. So let's hit create. Now, when we create our new mobile view, as I mentioned, we can, let's say for example, show the tab bar. We can choose not to. If we choose to include as a tab item, it does show the tab bar down the bottom as well. But as this is a settings page, it makes sense that we can add this to the tab down the bottom of our screen. Now, if I do decide to, let's say for example, have the settings icon in my tab, I can actually click that element, which on the left-hand side of our screen, it does take us to that item in the elements tree. Now, again, this is a pretty similar experience to what usual Bubble people are used to, which is really cool. And you can here make edits to these individual items as you normally would in the property editor. We do see something a bit more familiar here. We can see that we can add margins and change the sizes. We can add conditions. These are actually already preset, which is pretty cool. But the first thing we're going to do here is let's choose to change the icon. The label we can leave, but let's choose to change the icon. So if I just type in a house for home, not quite there, let's go home. Yep, we've got a home. We've got a little house there. So we can choose any icon that we like out of the normal icon set. We have all the normal ones here, which is pretty cool. And we can, of course, change the color if we like. So for my Amazon clone, I might make this, let's say the icon, I want it to be my yellow color, but for my font, I want it to be my blue color. So we can make changes as we please. It is worth noting as well that this, you can think of it as a reusable element. If I then go to my home view, those changes carry across as well. And I can make changes in either view as well, which is pretty cool. For our settings, let's see if I can go a cog. Yep, we can go a cog as normal. I'll make those same changes. Let me get rid of this little notification. Let's change the icon and the font as well. We can make changes to the font size or the style or how bold it is, but I'm happy with that for now. So you can see that we're starting to create a bit of a cool experience. So now that we have created a secondary view, let's talk about replicating our experience from the web application to our mobile application. A quick win that you can do is actually to copy and paste. Now, the really cool thing about Bubble and the builder that this application is using is that it is all in the same experience, the same editor. So you can actually choose to copy the elements. I'm just going to hit, let's choose to copy with workflows. Let's see what happens when we take it across to our mobile view and we hit paste. Now, if we hit paste, I have a heading and some groups and a button and a few other things here. Now, it looks like it's thrown it out a little bit in terms of the order, but we can make the change there. The main difference that thing that I want to call your attention to is that we don't have any issues, which is really cool. If I see, let me just take a quick moment to just fix this up. I might choose, let's say to, if I go to my layout tab, let's put the your profile heading at the top. Let's then choose the notifications can stay. The referrals, that was from another tutorial that I did. We can choose to lay it out as we please. If we want to make a little bit of a different experience, say for example, if we want to group these two elements into a row container, super easy to do. So what I wanted to mention here is that the experience is essentially the same. In some instances, we do run into some times where this isn't quite the case. But the good thing is here that we can make changes that we see fit to make this the experience that we expect to see. We can make little changes if things are thrown out a little bit, but you might be thinking this looks a bit strange. You can't, if you're a person that can't really tell what an application might look like unless you see it in a real world example. Cool thing is that you can preview your application. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a go at heading to my data tab, and let's choose to run a preview of our application as Anita. So when we go to run this preview, we can see that we are taken to our editor. To our preview. It is this mobile editor, which looks pretty cool. However, we do have a bad element down here and a bad element here. So a few changes that might need to be made. You can see here, this is the experience that I was talking about. Everything's instantaneous, which is pretty cool. But we do have to make some changes. So now is as good a time as any to talk about repeating groups. Unfortunately, in the mobile builder, there is not a repeating group element. If I head to my, let's say, to my visual elements tree on the left, we do see a lot of them that are pretty consistent with the web version. However, you will notice there are some changes. If I could just quickly jump between, let's say, the settings page and my profile page within the mobile app builder, let's take a look at what's different. Maybe alerts, video, HTML, maps, and a few others are we cannot see in just the visual elements section. So as you can see, when we switch between, a few of them drop off. Maps is shown, that's okay. Containers, we see a few differences here. So if we go on the settings page or the profile page for our web builder, we see we have groups, repeating groups, pop-ups, floating groups, group focuses, and tables. However, in our settings page of our mobile builder, you'll notice that we have some very interesting differences. We have groups and floating groups. We have horizontal lists, and we have sheets. Now, these horizontal lists and sheets are probably the biggest two differences that I have come across in my experience using Bubble. You'll notice that there aren't any pop-ups. There aren't any, let me head back to here. There aren't any pop-ups. There aren't any group focuses or, it's very different. It's a very different experience that you're trying to create. So few things to get your head around and a few changes to make. So let's take a look at what we can do here. So in the notifications section here, I might want to remove this because I actually cannot list my notifications. I cannot have a repeating group within this section of my settings page. So let's get rid of this. What I might do instead is I might actually create my own or create a brand new notifications tab where I would store it rather as a vertical list. The alternative is to, instead of having a repeating group, so let's take a look at my referrals here. So we have this repeating group here where it is a list of members that we've referred to our application. Rather than displaying a repeating group of as many members as we can, we might have to hard code this for now. So rather than having a repeating group where we show our referred members, we might just have to just add in or just take this group out here, get rid of our repeating group. We have our group, which looks straight away, looks pretty different, pretty strange. If I click into here, we can see this. Yes. What I might have to do, rather than referring to the parent groups thing, might actually have to do a search for, let's say, I believe if I recall, users. And I'm saying here where the referred by equals this user's referral code. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to just showcase what we're doing here. Referred by equals the current user's referral code. And rather than, let's say for example, my users is a list, here I'm showing item number 1. Now I might have to call this member details 1, and then I might have to do this 5 times. Bit of a nightmare, and I understand that. I understand this is difficult, but these are the changes that are made, and there's obviously reasons behind that. So just wanted to make this point to say that let me just add some margin to the left and to the right and to the bottom so that we can make it look okay. But here we have this experience where we cannot use repeating groups. We have to find alternatives. One alternative that we could do is use horizontal lists. So as I said, I was kind of lying when I was saying that the mobile editor does not have repeating groups. It kind of does, but in the form of horizontal lists. So rather than having an instance where we have top to bottom repeating groups in a column, essentially they can only be rows. They can only be swiped from left to right. Now this is an experience that does look pretty familiar. We do have, let's say these cells, we can call them. If we head to our appearance tab, we can head to the horizontal list and set a type of content. I might set it here to be user. Our data source would be, let's do a search for users where the referral code, the referred by, let me just get rid of this. Let's say referred by equals the current user's referral code. That could be that experience where we can see the items in a horizontal list. What I might do, let me just show you what this looks like. So let me choose for the text list item, let's choose the current items users, let's say their name. And let's here say, let's get rid of this and say the current items users email. So let's see, I know it might not look too great, but let's just see what this looks like. What I'm going to do for this, let's see if we can run a preview as a member who actually has been referred. So we have Mr. Bus, who was referred to our application by Lee King. So if we run a preview as Lee King, we should see Mr. Bus's details, which we do. So you do have a similar sort of experience. If we were to create more members, they would of course be a horizontal list, but I just wanted to show that repeating groups, they're very different. I don't want to say they don't work because they clearly do, but you have to find an alternative. So here I've gotten rid of my referrals. In my example, I do have my referral link. Let's hit refresh here. Cool thing is, of course, that you can preview your application. You can see the experience, but it does look a little bit different. Now, let's switch gears. Let's now take a look at some of the other differences that we can see here. So what I might do, let's go ahead and let's actually take a look at the vertical list page type. So as I mentioned, we have our view type here that's scrollable. It probably could be not scrollable, but let's take a look at a vertical list. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and let's add a new view. Let's call this product list. As I mentioned, my Headphone Zone app is a marketplace where you can buy and sell headphones. So what I want to do, I want to create a view where we are going to showcase all of those products in a list. So let's choose the vertical list view type. So here we can see we are in our product list view. However, we cannot see our tab bar. So let's include that. Let's also include it as a tab item because the products are pretty important. Let's include that. So let's go products. If I can maybe find a box, that's okay. Let's just use, kind of looks like, the Dropbox symbol, but let's just use this for now. Let's have the icon as our yellow color and our font as blue. As you can see, it's starting to take shape, which is pretty cool. If I to my layout tab, I believe I can, yes, reshuffle those, which is awesome. Now with our list views, like I said, this is essentially a repeating group, which is pretty cool. In our property editor, we can select a type of content. So this is essentially where we are giving our repeating group its data. So I might want to say it's products, and our data source, I can set it to be something specific. However, I just want to find all products. So I'm going to choose just to simply do a search for products. And that's fine. I just want to set that data source as all products because I want to show all of the products within our application. Now here you can see we have two issues. Let's take a look at what there are. Now here, okay, these are actually issues on in the settings page. So let's look at what this one is here. Okay, so this is, I'm going to just get rid of this because it's not relevant. Okay, let's jump back to our product list page. So we have our vertical list, which is of course the type of content product. We are searching for our products. We can make changes to the separators, but what I want to show is that we can set some essentially similar experiences in terms of groups for our repeating group list. At the moment, we just have one text item, which we can actually change, which we're going to do. So let's Instead, let's add a, actually what I'm going to do, and I'm jumping around a bit here. Let's take a look at our products page in our application. So if we head to our index page, we can see this layout. We have the group's image, the product's image, then we have the name, the delivery time, the price, shipping, a link, and who it is sold by. So again, I'm not going to go into too many details to how I've actually made this. What I'm going to do to see if I can circumvent some of the difficulties in putting this all together, and I want to save some time and have the same experience. Let's see if we can just copy this entire group here. We have group product, which contains all of these items. Let's see if we can copy this across to the mobile builder. So let's copy with workflows. Let's head to the mobile builder product list. I'm going to go to my list item, and let's just, while we're here, let's just say that we want to increase the size. So the element's width fit in the container, the height is fit to its content. So that's actually okay. So we don't have to actually set a specific height. Let's see if we can paste our group in here. Okay, it looks like it's kind of worked, which is okay, which I think is all right. We have a couple of issues. Let's see what these are. Now, straight away, we can see that the data for our product is empty. So in our repeating group, it was, of course, referring to the current cell. That's slightly different for our vertical list. We simply have to say current item, which solves both those issues, which is cool. Now, what we have here is a bit of a mix-up of heights. Let me just simply head to my builder and let's see what we can see. So if I go to my products tab, ooh, that looks pretty good. I'm impressed. That looks pretty awesome. Here we can see we have just this list of all of our products. We've copied that directly from our mobile application. I know this is a pretty specific use case, but I'm pretty stoked with that. I can make any changes I want here, of course, and it is only going to reflect in our mobile builder. Let's say, for example, don't need the image to be that big. Let's say if we want to change the layout tab, let's change it from 175 pixels to simply 100 pixels. Let's also, let's take a look to see what that looks like. We can see, nope, we're heading to our products tab again. Our heading takes up a lot of room, so let's maybe change the height of this. Cool thing is here that we are actually just simply amending the sizing for this view, not for our mobile, not for our desktop or our web version of our application. I can hit products and see that looks pretty awesome. Now you might be thinking, surely there can be more customization made to this page. Well, yes, there certainly is. So let's say, for example, I can, of course, get rid of my separators, which is one thing I might want to do. So no separators. Nope, still can't do that. No, okay, it looks like I have to keep my separators. But what if I want to hide them? Oh, cool, I can set the width to 0. That's cool. If I wanted to, of course, also maybe get rid of my group border, I can just simply do that here as well. Let's see what this now looks like if I refresh my product list. You can see we're starting at the settings. There we go. That looks pretty cool. I might want to add, now that I've gotten rid of that border, I might want to re-add my separator back in. Let's say the full. What page are we on here? Wait, I'll ask you that. What page are we on? I want to add a heading. Can I do that? Well, cool thing is, yes, you can. Even though we have this vertical list product page here, we can add a group to the top of our page to form a bit of a header, which is pretty cool. I just have to remember how to do it. So let me go ahead. Okay, we have to add it in maybe above. Nope, let's see how we do this. I can't exactly recall how to do this. Okay, I figured it out. For some reason, you can't exactly drag an item into the elements tree just like this. You may have to add it to your vertical list first. So let's say I want to add just a text heading. I have to add it to the group. Then I can drag it above out of the list. So let's say, for example, if I wanted to add a page or a title to this specific page, we could just call this headphones for sale. Let's just give it, of course, just some styling. Let's just say that we want it to be 18 pixels and want it to be bold. Let's also give it some margin, 20 pixels to the left and 20 pixels to the right. That is the way that you then add elements to the top of this vertical list. Little bit of a hoop that you got to jump through, and maybe maybe it will get fixed as Bubble continues to develop this application. But if we want to, see, or if we want to have a bit more control over this page and we want to add in a heading, you can do that, which is cool. Now let's chat about sheets. Now at the moment, I haven't set up a page for the actual product. Let's say, for example, for this first product, for this first set of headphones, I haven't set up a page or a view, I should say, specifically for that. Just for demonstration purposes, I want to display this information of this product into what usually would be a pop-up. However, like I mentioned, that is not the option to add pop-ups as a container to our page. Instead, we have to use a sheet. Now, what is a sheet? If I drag it onto my page, it does sort of have the same experience as a pop-up. However, it does look a bit different. So what I'm going to do, let's choose firstly, just for the sake of taking a look at this, let's see if I can increase the height of this sheet. So there's the snap point. So if I make it large, it covers more of the page. You can sort of think of it like a pop-up, but what I wanted to show is that we can use this to store data. So let's say for the type of content we want it to be products, the data source, this is a bit of this is a little bit tough. So here we actually have to somehow pass the data from the button that is pushed. So let's say, for example, if I click view product, we then have to show that information in this sheet. Now, let me just firstly set that trigger or the start of that workflow. So for view product, we aren't going to page product because there's no pages anymore. We're instead going to show a sheet. So let's see if I can navigate to how I can show a sheet. Navigation, go to view, go to tab, account, data things, element actions. Let's see if I can show our sheet. Let's see if I can show our sheet. Sheet product, cool. Okay, so you can. So let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can head to our products and let's show. Yep, okay, so we're showing a sheet. That's cool. What I want to now do, I want to see if I can pass the data from this headset into this sheet. Now, for full transparency, in my other application, I haven't figured this out. So let's see if we can do this live. What I want to do is I want to see if I can first set the type of content or the data source for this sheet to be the product that we've just clicked. So if I click, let's say something like sheet products. Okay, so we have a data source, but how do I then pass that through display data in a group, display the data of the parent of the current items product? Let's see if that's it. Let's see, let me just go to my sheet and let's, what I might do actually, let's copy our products information across like we have before, like we have in our previous example. We're going to copy this group product. So let's copy group product. Let's copy that across. So we're going to copy our group product into our sheet. Nope. Yes, we can. Okay, so group sheet product. Let's paste this here. Okay, a couple of issues. Referencing an invalid data source. Group product is referencing an invalid data source. So parent group's product. Let's see if we can change that here. Our group product is the parent group's product. The sheet product is the parent group's product as well. So when I mentioned that I haven't quite figured this out, I'm still not exactly sure on it. So for the remainder of this video, I might just hit pause there so I don't waste anyone's time because I'm still trying to figure this out. If anyone knows the solution, maybe add it into the comments. Okay, I'm back. I've just tried to figure it out and I'm admitting defeat. I can't do it. We're in the beta. As more information comes out, hopefully it's explained how to do this. So apologies if you've come to this video trying to find a solution. Let's move on. Okay. So there is a few more things that I wanted to show which are pretty cool. Let's say, for example, if I wanted to add an image to my profile. Let's say, for example, if I wanted to add a button to set a profile picture. So let's say if I wanted to go profile picture, and then I wanted to let's just make this, actually what I might do, let me just circumvent this. I might just copy that one because it looks good with its styles. Let's go profile picture. Now, if I want to, if I usually wanted to upload an image, I can just select the image upload element. However, that doesn't quite exist. And the reason it doesn't exist is because that is a experience that's quite different on the mobile. So what we're instead going to do, we're going to add a button here, which looks a bit strange. So let's just quickly just make this a little bit nicer. Let's say add image. Let's fit the width. Let's go 150 pixels. Yep, that looks cool. 10 pixels at the margin top, 20 to the bottom, 20 to the left, 20 to the right. Cool. When I go to click this add image workflow, like I said, we cannot select the picture uploader. So let me click add workflow, and there is this native mobile option. I can choose to open the camera library or open the camera. Now, if I just wanted to open the camera library, I can select a single photo. I can choose to make the file private if I'd like. What that means, you can find out in the docs. Again, but this is where sort of the knowledge of my knowledge of the mobile builder might halt, but that's just one change you can make. So there isn't a picture uploader. Instead, there is the native open camera roll or open the camera option. So it's at this point, I'm admitting defeat, and I'm going to say that there isn't much more that I can show. So what I wanted to instead do is just take you through this documentation to see some of the further information that you can capture when you're doing your own investigation for the mobile builder. Yes, I mentioned that we can see these things here, which is native mobile app terminology, which is good information to, of course, have. How to provide feedback, find out some of the differences in native and web elements. I have found value in this building section here, where it tells you more information about things like views and navigation. It tells you the differences between views and pages, like I mentioned. Setting properties, which might be the solution to my product problem that I just tried to see. Navigation, a tab versus a modal versus customizing the way that you arrive at apps. So whether it's through stack navigation or the like, appearances, view types, there's all these different bits of information under this building section for views and navigation. Same goes for this native mobile actions. So we have stacks, we have modals, which is pretty cool. Push notifications, we can set up our application to be able to deliver on-device notifications, which is a fantastic feature. Sending push notifications, components and gestures, lists, which we've sort of gone through. I didn't quite know what a section list was, but here you can see it is. Here it's essentially just a list grouped with headings within the list, which is pretty cool, can be pretty handy. Horizontal lists. There are these cool swipe actions. So if I wanted to, let's say for example, add a swipe action, all I'd have to do is click here, and there's this little plus button, which allows me to set some actions, which is, it's pretty cool stuff. To delete it, I simply just have to click delete. Now, continuing to scroll through here, we can see we have all of our different properties, how to work with sheets, floating groups, date and time pickers, which I think looks pretty cool with the native functionality, which I like. Just goes into a bit more information about what a lot of the mobile specific items that I haven't come across or I'm not showing in this video are, which is pretty cool stuff. Device resources, at the moment, there's only the camera and photo library option. However, I can imagine as the mobile app builder continues to grow, that will increase. Now, continuing to scroll through, previewing, we've run a preview of our application as a user. However, one thing that's really cool is the Bubble Go app. So through Test Flight, you can actually view your application on your own device. So it is cool to see in this view what everything looks like. However, the really cool thing is that you can actually run that on your own device. So you do have to, download Test Flight, navigate to Bubble Go, log in with your credentials, and then select the app. But that is really cool to be able to see your application on your own device, which is pretty awesome. Now, publishing and deploying, I actually haven't taken a look at because I'm nowhere near deploying my application. But when it does come time to, it looks like great strides have been made in actually deploying applications to the App Store. I know this is only the beta, but would love to see some applications that have been published through Bubble, so comment them down below. Would love to see what a finished application looks like, which I'm sure there's going to be a lot more of as this beta continues to be developed. So that's this video. So I've gone through what I can, what experiences I've had. As a basic summary or basic, I think this is awesome. I love the fact that it's all within the same database and the same editor. You don't have to replicate much work at all. You don't have to, take all of your existing data and settings and the workflows and the like and copy them across. That's sort of already pre-built. You don't have a separate database or workflows between the mobile and the traditional web builder, which is super, super handy. As far as, the differences in using repeating groups and lists, few changes, but that just takes some getting used to. When you go ahead and build your applications, you are obviously going to have to, let's say you're creating a new application, you have to create a web specific version and a mobile specific version. You might even only create a mobile specific version without even worrying about the web app. So again, Bubble is just added to their repertoire of things that they can do, which is pretty incredible. In terms of the differences of, views and sheets, personally, I've still got a lot to learn. I haven't quite figured out, say for example, how to put, a list item in its own sheet or in its own view. So I've still got to work that out, but I'm sure once I do that, it'll all be fine. The fact that you cannot, do certain things like upload multiple, let's say for example, uploading videos or things like that, through the traditional file uploader, some of the plugins that I'm used to working with don't quite work. Again, we're in early days, it's just the beta. We are going to see that continue to be developed and continue to features just be added to this mobile beta, which is pretty cool stuff. Just trying to take a look back, with logins, I do believe that there are some workarounds with logins that I recall seeing, as in, that actually can be a shared page. I believe I did see that. I can't exactly recall where I did, but here we go, signing up and logging in users. So you can sign up and log in users with web browser actions, which is I'm still trying to get my head around, but your apps are still secure. Your apps still require people to log in to use them, which is pretty cool stuff. HTML not being usable is pretty weird. So one problem that I ran into, if I wanted to use rich text and if I wanted to, let's say for example, make the sale red, I don't believe I can do that. Like yes, it looks like I can on the editor, but then if I go into here, if I then go to my products, it just shows that text, which is kind of weird. So not sure how that's going to be addressed. I'm not sure how rich text is going to be used or anything or how that challenge is going to be overcome. We'll just have to wait and see. So that's pretty cool. Let's take a look and we can see any other changes. The Maps builder, I'm sure will be pretty cool using native Apple Maps within your application. I'm sure that's going to be something that continue to be worked on. The input forms is also something that is very different as well. Like I said, picture uploader and file uploader are very different. However, some of these other ones like drop downs can't be used. There's a good explainer as to why drop downs aren't a feature in the native builder here, which drop down. So for example, there's a good explainer of why it can't be used. So again, we're just gonna have to find out ways to work around that. What other input forms can't we see? There's a lot. We can't see radio buttons. Let's see what else we can't see. We're just gonna go back here. We cannot see, I keep moving my head out of the way. Search boxes, slider inputs. There's a lot of things that, that we'll have to just wait and see how Bubble addresses them, or if there even are going to be solutions. Maybe we'll have to build them ourselves. A lot of changes to be made, but hey, Bubble have done an amazing job in getting this builder into the beta phase. Super excited to see where it goes. I'm definitely going to use it. One of the questions that I get asked non-stop from people when I say that I build apps, they say, oh, are they on the iOS store? Are they on the App Store? I can't see it. Well, no, I have to say that I build web apps, and that sort of takes a bit of the sting out of it. However, now with Bubble, that we can launch applications to the App Store. Super exciting. So that's this video. I've gone on a lot. I haven't been the expert that I thought I am. There's still a lot of learning curves, but hey, initial feedback is that this is fantastic. Super exciting for the Bubble community. Cannot wait to see what everyone from even the Building with Bubble community build. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'd love to hear how you're experiencing this mobile app builder in your application. So thank you very much for watching. Take care. And just like that, you've now had a sneak peek into how you'll soon be able to build and launch native mobile apps without code. As you can see, Bubble's mobile app builder makes it easy to design, test, and publish mobile apps, whether you're creating a simple e-commerce site or a full-scale service platform. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more about building apps with Bubble, don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials and resources. For now though, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again on your no-code journey.